writing you from somewhere in France, hoping this finds you well. Sergeant says I'm doing fine, a soldier and a half. Here's the song that we'll all sing, it'll make you laugh. We're gonna hang out the washing on the Siegfried line. Have you any dirty washing, mother dear? We're gonna hang out the washing on the Siegfried line, 'cause the washing day is here. Whether the weather may be wet or fine, we'll just rub along without a care. We're gonna hang out the washing on the Siegfried line, if the Siegfried line's still there. We're gonna hang out the washing on the Siegfried line. Have you any dirty washing, mother dear? We're gonna hang out the washing on the Siegfried line, 'cause the washing day is here. Whether the weather may be wet or fine, we'll just rub along without a care. We're gonna hang out the washing on the Siegfried line, if the Siegfried line's still there.
We're gonna hang out the washing on the Siegfried line.
Have you any dirty washing, mother dear?
We're gonna hang out the washing on the Siegfried line, 'cause the washing day is here. Whether the weather may be wet or fine, we'll just rub along without a care. We're gonna hang out the washing on the Siegfried line, if the Siegfried line's still there.
Well, hello everyone. I hope you didn't mind the intro. Did a bit of messing around with that to see what we could do. Bit of a hang the washing out on the Siegfried line in response to obviously the new German battle cruiser Siegfried coming. Hello Spartacus, how's it going? Yeah, it's going alright, Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully the audio is all a-okay. I was messing around with audio levels. Hopefully you can still hear me. Yep, okay, just check myself. How did you play this video during the stream, Major? OBS? Yeah, I'm using OBS. It's the first time messing around with something like that. Yeah, everything's going right, Spartacus. Want to put this out there, read the patch notes, and one of my predictions about CVs came to pass. One can't control their carrier when the aircraft in the air. Yes, that seems amusing. It does mean that aircraft carriers will possibly, whether they just go like AFK, literally aircraft flight, I don't know. We'll have to come up with a new acronym for AFK almost. Hello Vaz, good to see you. Hello Melissa as well. You were right about getting the Royal Navy heavy cruisers. I was expecting it, but I'm very surprised that it's as soon as it is. Audio is a thumbs up, which is good. The Major will have some pep in his step today, following the over the new line. Oh yes, very much indeed. And so what we're going to do is basically go through the patch notes. If you have any questions, any speculations, or any comments, just shout them out as we go along. This is very much like a way that we can go through it as a community. Hello, Brendan, as well. Brendan, yes. Hello. Rightio. So, obviously, starting off with the patch, so you're looking at 2.9 gig for the Xbox, 2.8 gig for the PlayStation, and obviously it does have a little bit of wrap up here, but usual upload times 7 to 10 a.m. UTC, so that's currently GMT, which is quite nice. Pardon me. And so what that basically means is, just the usual downtime. It's only really going to probably affect people who play in the morning if they do. But it is going to be quite nice. Hopefully it doesn't overrun it like it did last time. So obviously here's just a bit of a wrap-up, I guess you could say, of all the different things they're introducing. So they're introducing British heavy cruisers as a tech tree split through early access. You have aircraft carriers as a test event for 2 weeks. We also have the arena, which is basically a new game mode which is returning for the remaining 3 weeks of the patch. Also, we've got the campaign which is for the Sea Freak, as you saw, and then we have the Lunar New Year. So this will be the first time that we have a Lunar New Year content for World of Warships Legends, which is well, I guess it's interesting, I guess you could say. Now, they say, please note that it's going to run for 5 weeks, but here's an interesting one. Rather than ending on a Monday, it's going to end on a Tuesday, or the patch swap over is going to happen on a Tuesday instead. So whether this is something that they're going to bring forth in future, maybe they're going to try and do patch swap days on Tuesdays rather than Mondays. Maybe that gives them an extra day before the patch drops to work it over. Maybe they're finding themselves having issues or not able to meet deadlines or something, so that's an interesting change. Well, first up, as I suspect quite a lot of you are probably excited for in one way or another, is the Airstrike event. So this has been introduced as a separate game mode, so it's not going to, so basically if you want to play against carriers or play carriers, then it's going to be in its own separate game mode as a test event. So obviously it confirms that it's for the first 2 weeks of the update from February the 1st to the 15th, obviously confirming that the Japanese carriers are going to be Hosho at tier 3 and Rugio at tier 5, and then the Americans, we have Langley at tier 3 and Ranger at tier 5. Now I have covered those off in Wales Weekly this week, and also the aircraft carrier test phase teaser, I guess you could say, that came out last week. Now the interesting one is the commanders. We have Ernest King. For those of you who have heard of him, he didn't like the British, is the best way to put it. Yeah, very mixed character. And then we have Yamaguchi for the Japanese. Now, when you get a carrier, you'll be getting these commanders at rank 16 legendary 4, so they will be fully upgraded. However, if you do get the carriers through the first to fly event, then you'll be getting them at rank 16 legendary 1. Spoilers, will you be able to keep the CB commanders once the testing is over? Unfortunately not. They're going to go as well because you are receiving them fully upgraded. So basically, no, you have to obviously complete a mission in order to get the aircraft carrier. However, it's only going to take you a couple of battles. In one case, they say just 2 battles. So that's interesting. It seems like maybe they made the missions quite easy. I would have expected that to be a lot more. I would have maybe expected them to try and force us to play like about 20 battles or something in this game mode in a non-carrier ship in order to get a carrier. But here they're saying potentially it could be as low as 2, which seems a bit crazy, I guess you could say. Now, obviously, it's confirming that the carriers will be limited to 1 per side. This is as per speculation, as expected. And obviously, they are saying that they are covering off some of the first-to-fly stuff here as well. Now, obviously, this is a very short test event, and they are looking for people to give them lots of feedback, because carriers will come, no matter what your point of view is on it, they will come. And so, I think this test event is obviously a nice way that we can experience what they're going to be like. It's also going to be a nice way that we can give our feedback on them. It's our chance to change them. Simply saying, I don't want them is not going to be the right answer. So obviously we need to try and find them, make them balanced ourselves. So obviously I would encourage everyone to try and play the test event, and try and play them, maybe not just the ships that you know have great AA. Try and play some of the normal ships that you would play. I know for one, yes, I'm going to probably go in there. I'm going to take the Duke of York and the Cheshire, and I'm going to see what their AA complements are like. But I'm probably going to take the Icarus and the Exeter and the Leander and the Fiji in there. And I just want to see how they compare. Because obviously, I think if everyone just goes in with the best AA build they have, that's going to really skew the results. And therefore, they'll probably go, oh, AA is maybe too effective, and therefore they buff the carriers. What we probably want to do is, if you probably want to give them a good sample of ships and how they compete against aircraft carriers. Hello, Alessandro. I believe I got that correct. I do apologise if I have pronounced that wrong. Good to see you. Good to see you. Now, obviously, some important things about the carriers in their current form. You can only control one entity on the screen at a time, so once your squadron is in the air, you lose control of the carrier. what that means, whether the carrier just continues at the speed that you set it in a straight line, or does that mean that literally it's like you've gone AFK, the engine winds down and it just stops dead in the water? Two options there. Both are amusing concepts, because you could either have aircraft carriers steaming in a direction that they probably don't want to go, or carriers sitting absolutely dead still with their citadels exposed. So also, it does mean that if you can sneak up on an aircraft carrier in the destroyer, potentially they could be very easy torpedo targets. So it would appear that carriers are quite exposed. Now, obviously, it confirms that there's only two types of aircraft squadrons. There are, let me see if I can do this through the fanciness of OBS. There are obviously the torpedo bombers, and this is some of the information regarding the torpedo bombers. It gives you the hit points, maximum speed, attack unit size. So the squadrons are quite small. So obviously, if you can kill 2 aircraft out of a torpedo squadron, you've reduced it by 1/3. Now this is a Japanese torpedo squadron, because I remember seeing that the torpedoes were Japanese style naming convention. And detectability range of the aircraft is 7.5 kilometers. So for a destroyer, you're going to be seeing an aircraft well before it sees you. It's interesting to see that there's an aircraft on deck. So that's how many aircraft you can have in total ready to go. Now, if I go on to the HE bombers, you can see on this, there's an aircraft restoration time. Is that on the torpedo bombers as well? Sorry for the random transitions. Yeah, so there's an aircraft restoration for the torpedo bombers, which is 74 seconds. For the high explosive bombers, so these are Japanese again, the restoration time is 57 seconds. Detectability on these aircraft is 10 kilometers as well. So considering that most detectability of a destroyer is about 3 kilometers, however, these aircraft are doing 156 knots. So that's about 110, 120 knots faster than most ships in the game, I guess you could say. Yeah, so just some interesting stats there. Chance of setting fire is 55% on these high explosive bombers, which is quite interesting. Also, it does give you an idea of the consumables with the engine cooldown and the fighter patrol. So they do look interesting. Jumping back to this, so we can continue. Miss McJabe, hello. Vaz, play ships with terrible AA, so they make carriers weaker. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if you don't want carriers, play ships with terrible AA, so they go, AA is terrible. They buff AA. Yeah, you see what I'm thinking? You see? No, you didn't hear it here. I didn't say it. Right. Follow guy, hello, good to see you. Just continuing. So they're not going to change the AA stats as yet, because obviously they want to get some proper testing. And then they'll look into whether they do AA consumables or a AA rebalance or traits or skills or anything like that in the future. So this is very much, they're just introducing the aircraft with our current AA complements. Now, I know that the current AA complements in-game are a bit naff. I'm sure that most of you will probably agree with me. It seems to be a struggle to shoot down an aircraft sometimes. However, Do we have how much HP we have for these aircraft? I think I do. Let's take the HE bombs. So the HP points of the squadron is 1,580, and that's by 6 aircraft. So that is about 263 HP per aircraft. That's I think 40 mil Bofors and things like that should really chew up aircraft. It's just all those other things. Oh no, it's all gone nuts in the chat. Mr. Joe, they give us aircraft carriers but no kamikaze planes for our Japanese battleships and cruisers. Historical joke. Right, I'll let you guys chat about kamikaze aircraft. Right. So obviously, yeah, not changing AA. However, they're not bringing back the AA stats, which is a bit of a shame. I thought it would be nice to actually bring those stats back and actually start letting players work out what they like, work out what the AA complement is of the ship say they're playing, and then compare that to other ships and get like an idea of what it's going to be like. However, they decided not to. Now, here's an interesting one. AA guns of ship types being fired as soon as an enemy aircraft is within proximity, they do not affect the firing ship's detectability. Therefore, a destroyer will be able to stealth shoot aircraft. However, the aircraft carrier will kind of have like an indication where the fire is coming from. So that's an interesting one. It also means things like the Kid, USS Kid, is going to be absolutely vicious. Shalou, hello. Good to see you. And Fernando as well, hello. Good to see you too. Yeet, I'm immediately getting Ranger. You got a bit of a soft spot for Ranger, do we? She's interesting. Right, here's another interesting one, and it's talking about reworking catapult fighters, but it doesn't say whether it's just specific to this game mode or in general. So basically, it's going to change the cooldowns and the durations. So for cruisers, the reload's been changed from 180 seconds to 80 seconds, so that's a reduction of 100 seconds. However, pardon me, the duration of the aircraft has been changed from 360 seconds to 60 seconds, which is a massive change. They've changed it from a 6-minute duration to a 1-minute duration. However, I guess for everyone who has like 5 or 6 catapult fighters on their aircraft, suddenly you can actually use them. But that is a massive change, which really surprises me. I was kind of thinking, I did wonder if they were going to change that, because 6 minutes of having a catapult fighter up is quite a lengthy amount of time. I mean, for most American cruisers, if you take fully packed, you end up with so many aircraft you can't use them in an entire game unless they get shot down. So maybe this does make those high numbers of catapult fighters on the American heavy and light cruisers a bit more useful, I guess you can say. Now you're not actually finishing a game with about 3 aircraft still in your hangar. Now you're going to have the potential to actually use those aircraft. Hint, American cruisers are going to be quite good at anti-aircraft capability from tier 4 up. Now for battleships, they're reducing the reload time again by 100 seconds as well. So that's quite interesting. So also does mean that catapult fighters might become quite useful in battleships as well. I look forward to testing these two. Definitely think I'm going to be taking maybe the Dallas or the Pensacola, maybe the Aoba out and give them a go. Now here's an interesting one. If you are playing aircraft carriers, there is no service cost for playing the aircraft carriers, which is amusing. I'm not sure why. Maybe to try and encourage more people to play them for free, I guess you could say. However, other ship types will retain their ship service cost. Now, it doesn't, I'm not sure if it has said it yet, but you can play basically from tier 2 up to tier 6 in this. So if you can take some of your tier 6s out, maybe Atlanta, Flint, they're going to be horrible. Boise's going to be horrible. Kid's going to be horrible. Cheshire, Iron Duke. No, not Duke of York, I should say. California, Texas. They're all going to be horrible ships for anti-aircraft complements. That sounds like I'm making a list of ships to recommend. Right, obviously the airstrike mode is only going to be available until February the 15th. Once that's finished, all any XP earned on the aircraft carriers will be allocated to the tier 1 ships of the respective nation. Therefore, for the Japanese, it will go on to whatever the Japanese tier 1 cruiser is, and for the Americans, vice versa. Cossack regarding AA, she's an intriguing one because she does have that dual purpose 4-inch gun. I mean, she doesn't have a lot of dual purpose artillery. I think Cossack is one that I'd like to test and see, I guess you could say. Now, obviously they say control is basically because this is a new concept to the game, we're all going to be noobs. Unless you've played carriers before, everyone's a noob. So trying to get torpedoes and bombs on target and getting the necessary leads and stuff is going to be interesting. I look forward to trying that out. Now they say you'll be able to use ships up to tier 4, tier 6 I should say. I highly doubt you're going to play tier 1 in all honesty. Now there will be missions for ships, and I assume maybe rewards. It doesn't necessarily say there will be rewards, but I'd assume there'll be a reward of something in order to encourage you to play it. So basically there's the ability to get a carrier, then there's basically a mission playing a carrier, therefore enticing you to play a carrier, and then there's also things to tempt you to play against carriers. Now week 2 will offer similar titled missions for tier 4 to 6, so they're making the second week a bit more specific in the testing of the ships that they want you to test. So the first week, the Born to Swim is going to be very open, whereas in the second week they're focusing you in onto that tier 4 to 6 vessels, which would make sense because that's when AA complements start to become a lot more better, I guess you could say. Obviously they do say it does check the requirements and familiarize yourself with them before you start playing them, because obviously they're going to change, so keep your eye on that. The kid has crispy AA. Oh yes, very much indeed. I'm very tempted to pick up the kid this patch, in all honesty. Mr. Job, all DD players are worried, but all the back it up BB captains will flood and burn. I kind of feel like against a carrier is a capital vessel ideally designed to counter battleships, really. So being we don't have attack rockets and we're introducing new mechanics and things like that, I think destroyers probably have, like, the most destroyers have to be concerned about is being spotted. However, we already have catapult fighters, spotter aircraft, and radar and aggressive sonar in the game. It's just another mechanic that people have to be aware of, is my point of view on the whole thing. Miss Major, I'm bullying BBs and back it up and ask for assistance. Yeah. Yeet, I'm personally going to bully destroyers with my carriers. They are the eyes. That's true. I think as a carrier commander, you need to be aware of where your destroyers are located as well, and probably drop fighter aircraft as support for them when you can. Yeet, I have an idea. Royal Navy destroyers are going to be the best destroyers, already one of the best, with the burst smoke screens. Yeah, that's something that I was floating the other day when I was playing online. I think Royal Navy destroyers might become more useful because they have those lots of little smoke screens to pop. Miss Gamer, hello. Saw you in a game the other day playing in the Snob, GG. So for me, those captains that love spotting games for my first target. I'm going to say KG5. Yeah, KG5 could be interesting. I mean, she hasn't got such a large anti-aircraft complement as Duke of York, but she does have a decent one. Another good one would be actually Queen Elizabeth, because her secondaries are actually dual purpose. Right, that's the aircraft carrier segment all. Actually, before I wrap up, there was one more thing I wanted to go through, and that was the commander. So I was just looking at his skills, and I know it's literally just me sticking my finger in the air and spreading it in salt and all this, but I just wanted to take a look at those traits, and it looks like his base trait is improved anti-aircraft, which seems like a very interesting trait. And considering if you get a Japanese carrier, you're going to receive this commander at rank 16 legendary 4, he could make a very amusing inspiration for any ship that you're going to be having lots of anti-aircraft on. So potentially he could be actually quite a funny inspiration for this game mode. His base abilities, obviously we've got something that affects the repair party damage control party, like duration and cooldown, and the other option there is the ability to almost SWAT aircraft, I guess you could say. So whether that's going to affect your affect your fighter squadrons and or your anti-aircraft complement. So potentially this could be quite an interesting one. The second tier ability, obviously you've got the detectability of aircraft carriers, and you've also got the torpedo damage of your torpedo flight. For your third skill down, you've got some kind of warning indicator, something that will tell you how many ships are targeting you with their main battery, potentially, maybe some other passive skills there. The other two options, obviously, they're going to affect the The detectability and possibly offensive capability of your HE bombers is one option, or torpedo bombers as your other option. Last but not least, we also have another detectability skill, and the other option is obviously potentially something that will improve either damage and fire chance, or just fire chance of high explosive bombs. And last but not least, we have fully packed and some other legendary ability, which I have no idea. Maybe I think it looks like it's a torpedo and kind of like a compass, like a drawing compass. So maybe that will affect the angles or the spread of your torpedoes when launched. That's going to be an interesting one. I look forward to scrutinizing these when they do get launched. Jumping back to the desktop stream and jumping back to the chat as well. Sorry, I'm having to do a bit of a jumping around. Van has lots to learn with carriers incoming and learning to play an entirely different game. Potentially, yeah. It's gonna mix it up a little bit. It's gonna be quite interesting that way. Pensacola or New Orleans is going to be great. American cruisers tier 4 and up, highly recommended. Mixed Gamer, he had just unlocked the snob with my main account, got blocked. I can't get the 2-step code on my phone, so I started another. Oh, okay, fair enough. Vaz, I was hoping they'd add AA stats this patch, but I get why they didn't now. No, that's fair enough. But it does mean that maybe I might do an AA video at some point. I did start recording one, but when it got to about an hour long, I kind of canned it because it was just too much. Mr. Joe, carriers stay skinny, and if they are coming from behind, slamming in reverse to lessen their targeting time. Spartacus, Battleship California AA suite looks good. It looks very good on the California. Also, yeah. I'm not going to. Don't just play ships with great AA, or else you're going to skew the testing to the point where they might actually buff carriers. Potentially, you might want to try lots of different ships, and maybe a bit like what Vaz was saying. Maybe we game it and we play ships with terrible AA, and then that way we can encourage them to actually nerf aircraft carriers. It all depends how you feel on them, really. Anyway, I'm gonna read the patch notes. That's another thing I want to say, chaps. Down in the description is a link to the patch notes. If you want to read the patch notes as you're going along, it's down there. Furthermore, down in the description is the redeem code and the redeem link that is actually in the patch notes. So if you haven't claimed that, it's down there. Don't have to do it right now. You can do it at the end of the stream, but just giving you a reminder that it's down there. And congratulations on 1K. We'll see how it goes the next couple of weeks. But I think that's everything. I think that's everything regarding carriers. So let's jump in with British heavy cruisers. I was anticipating they would be coming. I didn't expect they would be coming this patch, in all honesty. So when I recorded Wales Weekly last night, I kind of just said it on passing. I didn't mean to actually make it look like I actually called it, but, well, I guess you could say maybe I did call it. Obviously, it goes on about the British heavy cruisers, but I think some of this is a little bit... improved repair party. The only way it's going to be improved is it's going to heal more Citadel damage, which already indicates that you're going to be getting Citadels a lot. It has relatively well armoured. If you haven't played the Exeter, the London, or the Cheshire, I can tell you these do not have good armour. And I doubt that these will have good armour in any way. So take that with the biggest pinch of salt that you can find. Obviously, they do come with HE shells. And one thing they do say is the sonar, I'm going to be intrigued to see what sonar they give them. Whether it would be like London sonar, which is the same as the British Destroyer sonar, which takes its time, or whether it's going to be something more normal for the tier, or maybe possibly more aggressive. However, they do say that the issue with them is obviously their speed and maneuverability. If you haven't seen it already, probably a recommended build would be my Cheshire 28 Days Later Let's Play, because obviously taking things like Full Speed Ahead, Belarus, and Steer Clear are going to be very sensible choices. Also, if you have Muller ranked up, he increases cruiser speed. He can be quite useful. Also, if you have a Zerlane Baltimore, which reduces rudder shift time, I'd also recommend her as a possible inspiration too, just to improve your speed and your maneuverability. So these are coming as early access, tier 4 to tier 6. So that is the Hawkins, the Devonshire. So the Hawkins and Devonshire are actual build ships. The Surrey is a little bit of a made-up design ship, and so is the Albemarle. Now the Albemarle is the same hull as the Cheshire, so that gives you an idea of the armor capabilities. Is the honest opinion there. Now, obviously, these are going to be in, well, basically chances of getting the British heavy cruisers going to be from the containers. Obviously, the container drop rates are not up yet. They won't be up until the patch actually drops. However, they do say that obviously the chances of getting the ships reduces the higher the tier. Obviously, as well in there, they do have the Tier 5 premium ship London. So if you haven't got London already, you might potentially get London. Now, they do say there are going to be some other drops in there, but I guess the main one that personally I'm looking forward to is the Union Jack Expendable Camouflage. That looks quite interesting. I'm sure that, considering how often you make me play the Gneisenhower during my live streams, I think Gneisenhower might deserve herself a new camouflage, potentially. Right, yeah, so that... Now, Albemarle will become available next update once the ships become fully researchable. So basically, these are in crates, and then next patch, then it all becomes unlocked, and you can just grind on straight through. Where was I in the chat? Oh, thank you, Pipe Guy. Thank you. Yeah, we're finally reached that milestone. Melissa, it looks like the torpedo damage up. Yeah, it could be that as well. Las Vegas. For the first few days, when only the specifically selected people get carriers, I'm going to spend the entire time ramming them while they are AFK just to mess them up. Well, they say that it's only going to take 2 battles or a couple of battles in order to actually get access to an aircraft carrier. So those first to fly forms or applications, I guess, only gives you access, like very limited early access to them. Thank you, Yeet. Thank you, Mixer Gamer, as well. Mr. McJob, I'm going to get a capture in my CV. I'm sure you will. I'm sure there's someone out there who probably want to try and get cracking as well. Baz, thank you. Tasul Kalu Adventures. When do we get the Mongolian light cruisers? Don't know. That is not anything that I'm privy to, and more than likely, I think if you asked Wargaming or World of Warships Legends team, they will probably tell you something along the lines of there are no plans on those ships at the moment. However, subject to change would be probably the Wargaming response to it. Vaz, Major, well, put permacamouflage in Jack on all his German ships. Miss McJob, after we get the Canadian Navy? Yeah, well, Hyder, potentially. Be more of the Commonwealth Navy. Although, like, there was actually a very interesting video that Dragonslayer has recently done regarding the Royal Canadian Navy. And if you haven't already, that's actually quite a good watch. Highly recommended. Right. So I think that wraps up the British heavy cruisers. One thing I haven't mentioned, but it is there, is in the aircraft carrier testing. Basically, it will be populated by AI if it can't find enough players, because obviously it is limited to only 1 CV per side. So starting with Dragonslayer Campaign. So this is for access to the German battle cruiser Siegfried, which is the centerpiece of the campaign. Basically, she's got, I think they say 15-inch guns. She's got strong AP. torpedoes, sonar. I guess one way to put it would maybe put her into concept would be like a 15-inch gunned Odin with possibly slightly worse armor and better speed, I guess would be like a vague way of putting it. To Sue Kabu Adventures Major, it was a joke, my man. Thank you for the vids. Thank you. No, thank you as well. Thank you. Obviously, this is the next interesting one. Much like the previous campaign, when you use a new currency to earn, this is going to be steel badges or simply steel. You'll be able to earn it reaching the final milestone of the campaign, whether you have Amity backing or not. So basically, once you complete it, you can start earning steel, is the best way to put it. And so once you earn steel, then it's basically a new currency that's coming into the game, very much like in addition to credits and things like that, very much like they have on PC where you have coal and steel. Now, the first item that they're obviously showing off is that we have the USS Missouri, and I think she's going to be 30,000 steel, so a hell of a grind. And when they say that basically if you complete the campaign, the maximum you're going to get is only like, if you literally buy the campaign, the maximum amount of steel you're going to get 1,250. So that pretty much means you're going to have to play a lot of campaigns in order to get Missouri. So Missouri is very much like a long-term grind, I guess you could say, if you want her. She's an Iowa class battleship, but she comes with radar, and she's a tier 7 premium. I think she comes with radar. But they also say other than the Missouri, you'll be able to exchange steel for other rewards such as commander items, and you'll be able to earn more steel from the arena or ranked game modes down from campaign. And from the campaign, I guess you could say. Campaign rewards is the usual stuff that you're used to. Currency execution. Dr. Goes HMS Sheffield. Oh, Shiny Chef, the town class cruiser. Yeah, I'd like her. Whether we ever get her, I don't know. Because obviously, how do you make an Edinburgh slightly different? And well, it's not a proper Edinburgh like a Sheffield. How do you make a town class cruiser different to the existing town class cruisers in the game? And considering we already have Belfast as a town class cruiser premium, plus potentially somewhere in the future we might get Belfast 43, I think, which is another town class cruiser. So I don't. Although yes, I would like Shiny Chef, I don't think we're going to get her, unfortunately. The campaign rewards include the usual array. So let's see. What am I interested in? Well, obviously I'm interested in the Union Jack camos. I have to be confess. 12 promotion orders. Okay, only one insignia, one commendation. Only 250 doubloons. 5 Royal Navy crates and 1 big crate. Now here's an interesting one. I think someone's already been pointing this out today. You will get a Victorian permanent camouflage for the tier 4 British heavy cruiser Hawkins. That's basically the white and buff. That's basically where the hull's painted white and the bridge and the top parts are all painted in this kind of goldy colour, I guess you could say. So that's quite intriguing. Obviously patch symbol. So his wait, let me just confirm. Do they actually tell us how much Amity backing is this time? I don't see it, unless I'm mistaken, but they don't tell us how much Amity backing is this time. I would assume it's 2,500, however, there doesn't appear to be any confirmation. Oh, there it is. Oh, I'm blind sometimes. Okay, yeah, so it is still 2,500 doubloons. Now, the amount of rewards that you're getting without it seems to be pretty much on par with most of the previous campaigns. In fact, it's actually slightly above average. When it comes to obviously getting the Amity backing, get an additional 20 Union Jack camouflages, 19 promotion orders, 3 insignias, 3 accommodations, another 500 doubloons. That means you'll get a total of 750 doubloons. So that means you're out of your 2,500 Amity backing. Is it basically Amity backing only costs you 1,750, I guess, if you want to try and swindle it that way. Obviously, getting a bucket load of more crates. So if you are trying to get the British heavy cruisers, this is potentially quite a nice way of maybe improving your chances. And also you will get a grade 1 camouflage, obviously in that the Victorian white and buff for the tier 5 heavy cruiser Devonshire. Now personally, I don't actually like the look of the Victorian camouflage, so I'm not too fussed about these. Now they're only coming as grade 1 as well, so it means you will have to spend paint in order to actually improve them, which is quite an interesting one. So what I might do, fingers crossed this works. There we go. I'll leave that up while I quickly catch up with the chat. Vaz, what tier is the Missouri? Tier 7. Anything less than legendary would be a waste of a grind. Yeah, Missouri would be tier 7, I believe. Brenda, Conqueror R mean it's rental? Yes. So Conqueror is a rental, and she will be leaving your port at the end of the patch. The XP earned on the Conqueror will be put onto the Weymouth as Elite XP, and then also the modules that you have equipped to the Conqueror will be they'll be available they'll be available in your port. So you're not losing them. They're just going to be almost like spares to the ones that you already have. Mix much joke. Laugh aloud. Dubs won't get any sleep till he gets the Missouri. Well, that's good to see that someone wants them. Ghost HMAS. What's that? Perth and Vampire. They're two Australian Navy ships. This is the thing. I very much would like those as well. Kasul. Hey Major, off topic, do you think they will have another way to obtain the Lenin? Based on the current Q&As and things like that regarding the Lenin, they don't, basically it's the usual wargaming response. They don't have plans regarding the Lenin at the moment. However, that might change in the future. So basically at the moment, the answer is no, but it could change. So potentially, maybe she could come back as a Global XP ship in the same way that the Targo and the Tirpitz have, or she might just be a container drop, very much like the way the Belfast is. I think it just depends at the moment, in all honesty. And Caps Cup, hello, good to see you, right, I'll just close that down. Now I've caught up with the chat, and now I can quickly move on to the arena. So this is quite an interesting one. So for the first 2 weeks, we have the Airstrike event. And then for the remaining 3 weeks, we have arena mode. So thank God, there's a lot going on in this patch. But what they have done is they've actually split it up. So that means now it's not like, hopefully, it should reduce the chance of burnout. But what it does also mean is that you have something always going on. I guess you can't win them all, in all honesty. So the arena is basically team deathmatch. 4 teams of 3 will have a go at each other, is the best way to put it. Now, and then the way that the rewards will be based is based on the on your positioning on the leaderboard, your individual positioning. So not your team, your individual positioning on the leaderboard at the end. Now, obviously, there is a breakdown of rewards later down. Now, here's an interesting one. The way that this is going to work is it's basically going to be based on your ship XP with boosters applied. And also, so obviously a premium ship will earn more XP than a tech tree ship. So therefore, obviously, if you are trying to grind this arena out and you do want to be pushing yourself to obviously get high up on that leaderboard, you want to be playing a tier 5 premium ship with the biggest, best ship XP booster that you can cram on it. And while you're at it, you might as well stick a commander XP booster on it and just rinse in the commander XP as well at the same time. In all honesty, if you're going to be using the ship XP booster, you should always be using a commander XP booster adjoined with it, because obviously the amount of commander XP that you get is based off of how much ship XP you get after all the boosters. So basically, it looks at your once it's done all the boosters and stuff, it works. It gives you your total ship XP, and then that's your commander XP, and then it sticks the commander XP booster on top of that. So actually, it should give you a hefty chunk of commander XP, which is very nice. Now, obviously, there are some rules. Obviously, it starts on the 15th and it ends on the last day of the patch. There are 4 teams in each match comprising the 3 tier 5 ships. If the teams or ships, basically, if you're the last ship alive, or your team's ships are the last one alive, then your team will receive an additional 30% XP. So obviously, that does entice you to actually try and finish off everyone else if you can. Rather than just capping the circle, basically the capture there. So basically, rather than just capturing the zone and waiting for it to tick off, it does kind of encourage you to actually kill the rest of the other players. Matchmaking will be mirrored as much as possible. However, it will allow non-mirroring. The reason being is obviously because you are allowed to play in divisions. Now, there is no restrictions on how your division is formed, so you can have 3 destroyers, 3 cruisers, 3 battleship, 1 destroyer, 2 cruisers. You know, the list goes on. However, obviously, bear in mind that the less diversity that you have in your division, the longer your wait times are going to be. So that's interesting, or something that's worth remembering. So obviously, I'd always recommend 1 destroyer, 1 cruiser, 1 battleship. That's usually the holy grail when it comes to a nice diverse division. There's only 1 key area on each map, and that is in the center. Now, this is the first time that we see friendly fire being introduced to the game. So in this mode, if you hit an ally, 33% of that damage will be applied to their ship. If you hit an ally, 33% of the damage will be applied to their ship. So basically, if you hit a destroyer with a Japanese torpedo and it's a friendly destroyer, rather than it completely wiping them out, is probably only going to do 33% of that total damage. However, affected by ramming is not affected by friendly fire, thank God. Players who fire on their allies will not receive any XP for the battle. So basically, that's your punishment. If you accidentally hit or deliberately hit a member of your division, then you will receive no XP. So this is going to be quite rough. It's going to mean that you're going to have to communicate very well or be very aware of your surrounding situations. Especially torpedoes. Yes, especially torpedoes. We understand that players might damage their eyes by mistake, but serious griefers will be dealt with accordingly. So basically, don't go in there and just smash out on your division, mate. Although tempting, not recommended. Yeah, we've covered off the additional 30%. Now the maps that are coming is Ring, Strait, and New Dawn. So Ring, that's the one with basically the ring of islands. So it's going to be in the centre in those islands. That's going to be very interesting. Strait, Strait, you've been playing it quite a lot on the right. You've got the islands to the left, islands to the right, big open space in the middle. That's going to be quite interesting. New Dawn, the map escapes me, unfortunately. I can't remember. So rewards are credited once the season is over, so therefore basically for 3 weeks you've got to smash yourself away on this leaderboard. And amusingly, this almost feels like it's a combination of the Kraken duck mode, or the Quackers duck mode that we had for April Fools, and also Rust and Rumble that we had for Halloween. You've got a leaderboard, you've got to move yourself up on it. It's a team deathmatch with capture zones. So it's quite interesting to see that actually all these concepts have actually been tested before. They've just brought them together, which is interesting. So it's basically the return of Rust and Rumble, but hopefully this time it's not going to be moan and grumble. There's 6 tiers of rewards, and the way it looks, I don't think you accrue the previous lot. So it's a bit different to duck mode. So that's basically the rewards, and you've got a lovely breakdown there. Obviously, even just participating, even just taking your ship out for 1 game is going to get you 10 promotion orders, 3 basic containers, and 500,000 credits at the end of the patch. If you can play it just a little bit, you're going to get a couple of Navy containers. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Actually, the rewards do look quite nice. I think getting into the top 50%, and also I note the winter big crates, they're new. getting into the top 50% is actually quite tempting. Top 25, top 10, top 1. Swings and roundabouts, I guess you could say. It all depends. I mean, obviously, if you are after that 1,000 doubloons, but then there's only 1,000 doubloons. So swings and roundabouts, I guess, is the best way to put it. But yeah, this looks quite interesting. In all honesty, it looks more interesting than ranked. In fact, I could actually, even if they did this as teams, if they did this as teams, like blue team versus red team, like we got, and they had this leaderboard at the end, and they just scrapped all the star system and stuff. You know what? This would be better. This would be better than ranked. If they could make ranks like this with 2 teams, scrap the friendly fire maybe, and then have them fight over like 3 objectives, that'd be really interesting. I think that would be better than the star system, in my honest opinion. And it doesn't feel like it's so linear as well. What's your thoughts? Let's see. New Dawn, I think, is the ranked map with only 2 capture points. Oh, yes. Okay, yeah, that one. So lots of islands again in the middle. Vaz says, on Reddit, Robin said you get all the previous tiers rewards higher you finish. That's even more interesting. So, I mean, say you make the 25%, you're getting all of this. It sounds a hell of a lot better than bloody ranked, in all honesty. Miss McJob, Sachs hit me a minimum of 7 torpedoes last night, reported. In Sachs' defense, I'm quite an aggressive battleship. Oh, yeah. And Miss McJob, I like this more than ranked. Yeah, no, that's exactly how I feel. As well as, why don't Wargaming let weekly boost, daily boost, and premium supply missions be completed in these types of special event? I don't know. Again, I'd love to see that. This is the thing. Like, I don't know why. I think they want to try and obviously keep people playing standard, so they have to keep something that keeps us playing standard. But at least like the dailies should be able to be completed in any game mode. I can understand the weekly boost and the premium supplies are fixed to standard play, fine. But daily boost, any game mode, is my opinion on that one anyway. Vaz, rewards are 500% better than all the ranked seasons combined. Harsh, but possibly true. Rightio. On to the Lunar New Year content. Now, this is incredibly alien to me, but I know this is something that they do on the PC. It's, just dragons and stuff, I guess you could say. So they're introducing this, and it starts on February the 12th. So it's almost like that crossover period between the carriers and the arena mode. And basically, it's just some stuff goes on sale, in all honesty. And what goes on sale is basically a special camouflaged Mayuku. So I don't know. I mean, it's just a Mayuku with premium bonus at tier 6. I mean, yeah, it does mean she's going to be a good credit earner, and Mayuku is a good cruiser. But like they say, apart from that, the stats are completely unchanged. So maybe if you are looking for a money-earning cruiser at tier 6 and you really like the Mayuku, but in all honesty, I don't see this being worthwhile unless you really want it, I guess. Now, they do say there'll be Lunar New Year crates containing goods such as Air Dragon and Fire Dragon disposable camouflages. I would assume that what they're showing here is potentially a teaser of what those might look like. There's also the Ox personal patch, and the Simba flag is available in one of the bundles. Yeah, okay. In all honesty, this doesn't interest me that much. It might be of interest to a certain market or to other players, and if you're interested in it, then fair enough. But personally, not too intrigued, not really too interested. Yeah. Anyway, on to the balance changes now. This is really interesting. This is where, amusingly, a lot of British ships are getting buffed. I'm pleased with that. Cheshire is getting her rudder shift decreased by about 2 seconds. She needs that. She really does. Main battery reload's been reduced by a second. That's going to increase her DPM. That's quite nice. So yeah, I agree with that. Now, this is a strange one. They seem to have done it with a couple of these ships. The repair party has been modified, so now it restores this. Basically, it restores the same amount of HP as it does, but it does it over 9.3 seconds rather than 27 seconds. You're still going to get the same amount of HP. I don't know. That change just seems a little bit pointless. It might make a difference if you're being absolutely pounded, but it's not really a big difference in all honesty. The Cossack, this is an interesting one. I know I've discussed it quite a few times with Captain Cranky, talking about the Cossack in the comments and stuff before. Here we're actually seeing her main battery reload reduced by 4.5, well, by 0.5 a second. This now means that the Cossack will have a better DPM than the Jervis, rather than being on par. That's quite intriguing, actually, especially when you consider that she does have that secondary turret as well. Also, they've reduced the torpedo reload time quite considerable, about 24 seconds. I mean, it's not a big change overall, but that obviously when you add on other boosters and things like that is going to change it quite a lot. Now, the Charlemagne, in all honesty, I don't think I've ever really seen this ship, in all honesty. Maybe there might be a reason when you consider they're improving her armor by about 9mm. So it sounds like she was very poppable, and that might explain why I never saw her. Also, they reduced the main battery reload of the cruiser as well, which is quite interesting. Vanguard, HP restored to the Citadel has gone up even more. Vanguard's just turned into a bit of a beast. They have improved her accuracy, but in all honesty, it's only a slight buff, which is fair enough. Her accuracy is a bit awful at times. Repair party has now been modified, so now it dumps all that HP into your ship in 10 seconds rather than 28. It's already a super heal. If you pop that off now, that's just going to look ridiculous the way it's just going to load all that up in about 10 seconds. Duke of York, they've changed the number of sonars from 1 to 2. That makes a lot more sense now because Hood has got 2 sonars. Why did they give Duke of York just 1? It's very much like Duke of York is very in comparison to KG5. There's not a lot of differences, and those differences that are between the two ships are very minor, or at the moment don't really matter too much. Given her additional sonar, I think it makes the differences between them a bit more further apart, I guess you could say. Polygon, what happens to unused icebreaker coins? So basically, icebreaker coins will be still in your account, I guess you could say, and there will be still items to buy with icebreaker coins if you want to. So you will still have Commander XP and potentially the Christmas camouflage that you can still buy with them. However, if you decide not to spend them, or you can't spend them because the amount of icebreaker coins you have is too little, then in the March update, any icebreaker coins that are left in your account will be converted into credits. I don't know the exchange rate of credits for them, but it's probably a lot of credits. I can't remember off the top of my head, but basically, if you're short of credits, it could be a nice thing to gain. If you do want to know what the conversion rate is regarding it, like historically, just drop an actual comment on this video to remind me, and I'll try and respond to that as soon as possible. You may notice I may have been a little bit not present in the comments as much as I would normally be today, because it's been a long day's work, and I've gone straight into the stream, make sure I've got everything all set up. Other changes they're making is obviously the Fight Fire skill. Well, it is now works when the damage control party is either on cooldown or depleted. So basically, it means it's going to work on the Russians. And also, enhanced secondary targeting consumable on battleships now has 3 charges, so it's gone up by additional charge. Also, the cooldown has been reduced by 20 seconds to 160 seconds, which is quite interesting. Now, this redeem code and stuff, that is all down in the description of this video, so the code and the link to the redeemer. So if you haven't already, it's nice and easy, and it's there for you if you want. You don't have to do it now. You can always do it afterwards once we're all done. Miscellaneous changes. They're bringing back VoIP now between the consoles, which is good, finally. Here we also cover off some of the rental legendary stuff. So rental legendary ships have will be removed from your account. Any XP you earned on them will be moved to the tier 1 ships and the nations. Any modifications will be placed in your inventory. That was the word I was looking for. Gunshots have received improved visual effects. Wow. Okay. Alright, good luck. Good luck seeing those. Zerlane Fuso, Queen Elizabeth, Scharnhorst commanders will now receive the Fight Fire with Fire trait, and that was something that we were aware of. The following ships will now be outfitted with historical camouflages that can be created in the loadout menu for 75 paint. Please note, any such permanent camouflage is going to be of the lowest grade and less upgraded with paint. So basically, if you invest paint, you can get some historical permanent camouflages for the Fuso, the Aoba, the Fubuki, the New York, the New Mexico, the Pensacola, the Farragut, and the Mahan, if that interests you. I don't know. I'll just say 69. Finally, we get the Siegfried in Legends. Yeah. She's here. You just got to finish the campaign. Vaz, Cossack looks very appealing to me now. Yeah, no. I'm definitely going to be trying out Cossack. I think potentially we might see a Let's Play in the Cossack maybe in the first week of the patch, potentially. Maybe the second week. Vaz, I didn't know Charlemagne was in the game. Exactly, that's how often he's here. Spartacus, have you got the Lenin yet? Everybody still tries to kill me. No, I don't. I didn't have any motivation to get the Lenin, in all honesty. So I've just been pouring icebreaker coins into Commander XP. I've got millions of Commander XP. I will use it eventually at some point. Bug fixes. There are some bug fixes. I think the main one here that most people will have encountered is when you end up with just up or left or something just constantly spamming, and you have to like almost shake your joystick in order to try and kick it out of it. Hopefully that's been resolved. But there is no comments on regards to any other bug fixes there. Now, we do have some stuff regarding some new premium ships. We have the German cruiser München and the American destroyer Sims, and they will be available for doubloons, probably somewhere between 12,500 or 15,000 for either of them. And what I'll do, I'll briefly go over some of the pros and cons of them. So what I'll do is if I bring up the Sims, oh, look at that, see? Almost a professional streamer. I can now talk about the pros and cons of the Sims, which will be coming at tier 6. So, pros are that she does have 2 centerline mounted quadruple torpedo launchers, each one able to fire to both sides. Okay, very common with, say, like most other nations, but for the Americans, sometimes they do have this idea of like wing mounted torpedo launchers. So basically, it's just nice to know that they will have the ability to launch torpedoes from to either side. Now, the guns are very fast firing and very fast traversing as well. High rate of fire. Good acceleration and agility as well. It sounds very interesting. Looks like she's going to be quite fast, potentially in the very high 30s. Now, it looks like she might have a reasonable AA upgrade, AA layout, but it might be... Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Maybe if you tailor it towards it. Looks like she has a very good turning circle as well. However, the downsides are that she's very fragile, especially like armor and modules. Looks like she might have some choice between torpedoes, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, she does have those American 127mm guns. What's that in Imperial? That's 5-inch guns. So obviously, if you're used to American destroyers, you're used to that almost like very high arcing shells. You do have one less main battery gun in comparison to, say, the Mahan, which is quite interesting. And your detectability is worse than average, I guess you could say. So that's not too... She's an interesting mixed bag, I guess you could say, but she does look interesting. Right, let's take a look at the German cruiser München. So there she is. And what's her pros and cons? Well, she's basically a light cruiser, so she is 6-inch guns, I think. She has fast main battery rate of fire. She's got good main battery range and firing angles as well. High explosive looks like it does quite well for penetration. Also quite fast as well, potentially doing about 36 knots. Obviously, she does come with German sonar, so that's going to be very aggressive, very long range. Let's skip through comments regarding the AA, but it looks like she does have very good concealment. However, downsides, she only has 8 guns. So she's not going to be throwing a lot of shells out there. It looks like her shells might lose speed over a long range. Now, she's very fragile. She's almost, I guess, like a tier 6 Nuremberg, if you know how a Nuremberg goes pop. So poor armor and very small hit point pool as well, which is a bit of a shame, I guess you could say. Torpedoes appear to be quite short-ranged as well. So that's the Muchen. Just going over some of the pros and cons. Now, if I jump back to the... Yeah, that's everything. That is everything, ladies and gentlemen. So, any questions? Any questions? Any speculations? I'll let this just scroll up to the top, and then let's just see. All right. Let's see. Hello, Next Era. Hello. Good to see you. Good to see you. Spartacus, are the free legendary rentals the first time Wargaming has done this in regards to renting a ship? I think so, yeah. I think that's the first time they've done this kind of like rental testing, I guess you could say. If not, how long before they did the Bureau? Well, the Bureau's only been out since May 2020. So the legendary ships haven't really been kicking around for too long. Rightio. Unless anyone has any questions, we can all go to the fancy new end screen of the stream if you want. As always, I'd always like to encourage everyone to give the stream a fun thumbs up. Be much obliged. And if you are a subscriber, I'd say thank you very much. If you're not a subscriber, feel free to subscribe. Well, I think we have to call it there then, gentlemen. Well, thank you for everything, and until next time, I'm the Galloping Major, and thanks for watching, and let's go back to the port.